Wow. Wow. Oh my god. I just feel like a proud dad or something just from like I'm so glad I stuck with this show from the very beginning because it's like this is one of the few shows that I watched over the years where it's like it keeps getting better each and every season. And just when I think this whole LMD thing is starting to hit a lull, I swear, the acting in this episode is superb. The writing is superb. It takes twists and turns I never would have expected. Like, this was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at its end game. So, just to go into the episode, I'm just going to go into detail as to why Season 4, Episode 15, Self-Control, was not only the best episode of Season 4, but probably one of the best episodes in the entire series. For one thing, Fitz and Simmons are trying to get themselves into one of the other rooms in the headquarters because in order to avoid detection from the other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. LMDs. But it turns out they go through the scanner, and it turns out the machine scans either Fitz or Simmons as the LMD, and they'll turn on one another with Simmons pointing a gun at Fitz, and both of them paranoid as to which one of them is the LMD because they don't know if they're just like the May LMD, which they're not self-aware that they're actually LMDs. So, and it's like Fitz admits to being that this whole disaster is his fault, and Simmons tearfully forces Fitz to cut his wrist with a knife. He does so, and he cuts a main artery. And then when Simmons tries to tend to his wound, it turns out that Simmons stabs her in the leg and knocks her out with a paint jar, like a paint jar or case of paint, for lack of better terms, confirming that he's the LMD, which makes me wonder how they had this mislead about how they made everybody think that Daisy was one of the LMDs, because you find out later on that she's not. So maybe one of the LMDs, maybe Coulson, like manipulated that feed, and even though she got a backup file saying that the footage was erased, saying as to who the LMDs were that were entering the base, that she was able to manipulate the feed and to make them think that Daisy was one of the LMDs, which make me think that maybe Fitz was switched out when they were still at that Russian base and everybody was separated. Daisy, turns out, the real Daisy, not knowing what's going on, is being told by Mac and the other agents, like, oh, we should go seek out the other Inhumans and tell them that they're compromised because they're probably in danger from the Superior and Ratcliffe and Ada. And they're about to head out. LMD Coulson goes to check the LMD May, and the latter realizes that the former's an LMD and freaks out after she contemplates how she has memories of watching snowfall when she realizes that this is the first time she's ever seen it, because she's not the real May. And LMD Coulson is going on to talking about how, that they're better versions of themselves, like their real bodies don't matter. They're now just extensions of their better versions of themselves. Like they no longer have to feel pain or suffering, and now they're just part of the framework, and now they can live life without regret. And the LMD Coulson wonders what life would be like if he never joined S.H.I.E.L.D., and talking about how how he can have a simpler life with the LMD May. And Daisy finds out what's going on when she goes down to one of the containment rooms and finds several versions of LMD Daisies down there. So she thinks of something really clever, which is to hide among the LMDs when Max is told by one of the other agents that she went down there, and and while he's trying to find the real LMD, she finds that the LMD Mac finds like one of the bra straps is like lower down Daisy's shoulder than the other one, and she's about to attack Daisy when it turns out that was another LMD, that was a diversion, and that the real Daisy gets the drop on him and grabs the shotgun axe and heads for a containment room, in which she watches a feed in which, after Simmons actually regained consciousness, was able to escape the clutches of the LMD Fitz when he was talking about, wanting to propose to her and, trying to declare her love for her and, like, stabbing and dismantling him. And when the LMDs and the other agents find Fitz, because they try to convince those agents among them that Fitz was switched. They didn't tell him that Fitz was the one switched out. When they find that the wiring of the LMD Fitz, the LMD Coulson and Mac kill the other agents while Daisy's watching this all on a feed, and they cut the feed, and she finds blood trail that leads to Simmons, in which they're both pointing guns at one another and questioning which one of them is real, and so they're able to, and so against her will, Daisy grabs Simmons and uses her powers to gently quake Fitz to make sure that she has, like, real bones, and so they both confront their real ones. It's this very beautiful, well acted scene where they're both, like, just paranoid and just completely powers and just, like, propel herself in the air again and knock the LMD mace off her feet and grab his knife and just, like, stab him and cause him to shut down. And Simmons uses some antidote to wake up a couple of the real agents and has to force them at gunpoint to follow her commands because they don't trust her and think that Simmons is the LMD. And then after defeating the mace LMD, Daisy is shot in the arm and the leg by the LMD Mac and Coulson respectively, but she has this, like, really cool move where she starts, like, using her, like, vibration powers in her fist, and then it just, like, causes a huge shockwave, which sends both of them flying. It knocks the LMD Coulson through a window and completely destroys the LMD Mac. And so the surviving LMD Coulson goes to grab May and says, "We're going to bring you into the fight. You're the lifeline of defense." And Daisy and Simmons, a couple of agents, are trying to escape to the Zephyr, and it turns out that May's blocking their exit with explosives, but they're able to convince her to talk her down. And then when I think, like, that Coulson's able to repair the LMD Fitz to go search the rest of the building, and the LMD Coulson confronts the LMD May, and the latter says that she's afraid to die. She feels fear, and when she's talking to Coulson, she says it's the pain and regret and suffering that makes them who they are. It builds character, and it's the reason why she blows herself up as well as Coulson in order to create a diversion for the Zephyr to escape the blast. And I don't know if it destroys the base, probably does, but it allows them to at least, like, fly out of there. And the game plan is that Daisy and Simmons decide they're going to plug themselves into the framework remotely while they're still on the Zephyr in order to find the missing agents, who just happen to be on the Russian sub with Radcliffe in the framework and the rest of the real agents in the framework. And it turns out that the Superior, we have this twist where she basically puts she turns the Superior into a different kind of LMD in which his body is all mechanical, but she cuts off his head and puts it in a jar, and his mind's being and his mind is sending signals to the robot body remotely. And we also have Radical pull out of the framework, in which Ada discusses how she's aware of emotions, but she can't actually feel them, like May, and she feels like there's a paradox to the programming in which she's responsible for protecting all life, the framework, and Radcliffe's life above all else. But she also feels like that because Radcliffe created a world without pain and regret for the missing agents, that he's also no different, and that he's somebody who's going to feel regret. And Ada knows that he has poor self-control, and that if he feels any kind of regret, that she might reprogram him in the framework, and basically and Radcliffe insists to Ada that she would never do that, and she tells him, "Oh, thank you for rectifying my paradox." And so she takes his hands and then proceeds to slice his wrist, and then using her strength, plugs him back in the framework while he's bleeding to death, and presuming that his body died and having his mind trapped inside the framework. And so now Ada's become like a big bad, almost like kind of a tragic big bad, because she just wants to use the superior, who's now basically some kind of a different level of LMD, to read the Darkhold, and she wants to feel like human emotions. And also we have these other kind of other twists in which once they get plugged into the framework, Daisy and Simmons, and they also go grab Yo-Yo and get her up to speed on everything. The first thing we find, we have several different images in which first you think Daisy wakes up while they're in this virtual world, Daisy wakes up in a bathtub and gets a text message saying, "Wake up your boyfriend." And so she steps out, she steps out, grabs a robe, and walks over to the bed, thinking she's gonna go wake up Lincoln. But then she goes past a photo which contains a picture of herself, and not Lincoln, but Grant Ward himself. And then you have images of Mac, outside of this white home, and picking up a little girl's bike, presumably in a world where his daughter's still alive. Fitz is still a rich, became rich and is helping a woman out of a limousine, but it's not Gemma Simmons, because they see a Gemma Simmons tombstone. Coulson is teaching a class in which he writes on a chalkboard, "Inhumans, why we fear them." And then we see May at the Triskelion from Captain America the Winter Soldier, except now it has a Hydra emblem outside the building instead of a shield emblem. And that's the kind of thing where it just kind of raises all kind of questions, like what kind of world they're in, because the producers said that it's going to do their own what if kind of world, in the same way that they do in Marvel Comics, where they do a what if comics and do what if this happened, kind of alternate timelines of sorts, or how different comic book events played out. So it kind of makes me wonder, all these different things. And they said that Gemma may or may not be dead, it's by being plugged into the framework. So it kind of makes you wonder, because Coulson never joined S.H.I.E.L.D., is that he became part of the crowd. They didn't know any better and realized that not all humans were a threat. Does Daisy still have lingering feelings for Grant, and regret that the relationship didn't go any further just because, he would turn out to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent? And it kind of raises all kind of possibilities, and the producers said that basically you have all these Easter eggs and twists and turns that will make and callbacks that would make people who have been fans of the show from the beginning rewarded, and I'm just psyched about it. I just wish we didn't have to wait till April for the next episode. But apparently when it's on hiatus, I guess for another mini series. I'm not sure which one. I think it's When We Rise or God knows what. But in any case, this is going to be, I think I have renewed faith in this season, and this may be this best season yet, and I'm just completely over the moon about this. I mean, among all the comic book shows that I've watched so far this week, this one just completely blows it out of the water. I will do a combo review for Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow, and Supergirl, Flash, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. I might have to do a composite review like I did a couple weeks ago, just because I've been so far behind. I may have to do one for a few movies. I will do a review for Get Out in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. So otherwise, guys, what do you think of the episode? Was this your favorite episode of the season? Was this one of your favorite episodes of the series? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.